Hello, it's exactly 1 o'clock. I got into doing things and got distracted. As you can tell, I still have the Anne's grid on my show in the corner, and that's because tech support is off turning in all of his stuff from his job. He is leaving the job he is currently in and theoretically going to another job, although it's kind of a big theory because he works out of the house, so I'm never sure where he is. But I do know there is an office, and he has one of their computers, and he has to return it today. So, is anybody out there? Dun 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 dun. Shh. Really? This could be a long, boring show. I'm gonna put the camera on the board. Try to get it centered. What are we going to talk about today? Oh, somebody's here. Someone loves me. Hello. One viewer. As I was saying, the reason that I still have Anne's grid on my screen is I didn't have, hi Faye, I didn't have tech support to come take it off and put my logo back. But what I actually think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a copy of a really lovely photograph of the garden up there, so maybe that will make it easier for people to follow, because when we put it up there you actually can read the words that make it up. And if you've kind of been watching my shows, you know that I'm doing a series of shows for to work with my guides and to channel in more about the garden. And every day, more or less every day, I channel in another area of the garden. Got another one last night, got third eye, yes. So now I'm down to higher consciousness and tree of life. And then I will have all the spaces. I will have a vision definition for each one of them. And I was looking at my schedule next week, and it's a little light on readings, and I'm going, what am I going to do with my time? And what I realized I'm going to do with my time is put together the class plan for the people who own the garden. Anyone who owns a garden, by the day I start my classes, you'll be given a link to come in to take a free class from me. It'll be a group class. It'll be like a Zoom thing where there's lots of you on the screen and me. We can do a lot of talking back and forth, learn from each other, and you will have the PDF to download of all of what I've channeled in on how to use the garden. So that will be fun. People are just piling in here now, let me tell you. And so that's on so next week I'm going to be spending more time doing that. So today, as you know, I always start with stone of the day. And the other thing I'm going to do today is there's some interesting things coming up in the sky, and I will talk about those. I'm going to talk about the third eye, what I saw for it on my board, and I'm going to talk about, I have 3 guests coming next week. I have a guest coming tomorrow. So for those of you who come in at 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time, tomorrow it will be at noon Central Daylight Time. I'm going to post this right after we have this class. I didn't want to confuse people because Sheila from Celtic Tarot is coming over, and she's going to come play in the garden. She's got a garden. She's been playing a little bit with it. We're going to talk about what she found she can, as a reader, what she could find she could do with it, what she could find that she couldn't do with it. And we're going to raise you down a little bit that way. Okay. And kind of see how that works. And so she's going to come and be on the show with me tomorrow for an hour. Everybody give me a thumbs up, because then they will spread it around at night when they're looking for things to hand off to people who say like tarot and all those interesting things. But if I keep, and I've got Sheila on Thursday, Friday I will not be on because I have to really go get my hair cut. And I know you think, like, how long could that take? Trust me. And then on Saturday, I'm doing like a regular show. And Sunday, will not be on because I'm going to be taping a segment with Robert of the Akashic Records. And and then Monday I'm going to have a regular show, but I'm also going to be doing a show with Allie from Heart and Soul Connected, and she's going to come talk about I Ching. I've been trying to find other practitioners, psychics who have more experience with some of the other divination tools. What I don't know about I Ching or I Ching is frightening, and she knows apparently a great deal, so I'm going to bring her on to talk about it and try to enlighten all of us. So, okay, our rock for the day is the emerald, and the emerald means compassion. The emerald also happens to be my birthstone. I was born in May. It's opaque, translucent green. The emerald recognizes the powerful medicine of love and compassion. It's found in the breastplates of kings and queens in ancient times, and that's what it was there to signify their compassion. Sacred stone shares the medicine of the heart and invites you to deepen the love and compassion for others. The emerald promotes divine love, assists in staying connected to the wisdom of the heart, deeply activates the heart chakra, and assists in creating intimacy, assists in letting go of old connections and superficial relationships. So our stone today is emerald, and our theme is kind of compassion and understanding more about each other. Oh. And I had no questions. Y'all must be living question-free lives because I had no questions on my community page. So if you want questions answered, you can throw them in, and I will be glad to take them out of the chat section today. Okay, this is my vision about walking into the space of the third eye. This is a village of very different huts. I went inside none of them, but I knew the structures were there. But every exterior was different in various kinds of repair. Some were in very beautiful repair, some were gorgeously decorated, and some were kind of fallen down and not looking good. Okay. And the buildings were very near a shore, a water, like a lake. And some of them were up on the dry land, though, far from the lake, up in the sand, and others were on stilts over the water. You sense around all these, you can sense your way around all these buildings. You can feel what's kind of behind them, the energy that's all around them, that's flowing around you, but nothing, that energy isn't tangible. You can't feel it. It's not solid, but it's very intriguing. I was looking for someone to express my feelings to because I was feeling very warm, nurturing, and secure. The environment is a variety of senses, but I focused on those that were self-affirming. The thing that when I woke up that struck me the most, when I said, what struck you the most about that village, was the geometrics on the exteriors. And as you know, I kind of came into dealing with a lot of this stuff through sacred geometry. So I'm going to go back in that vision and envision the shapes. Let's see. Is there a crystal that protects you from people who don't use their brains? Oh, God, I wish. No, what you'd look for, a crystal, what I'd look for is one that would empower my own strength, my own compassion, like an emerald. I don't mean you got to go find an emerald. You can find some lovely green springs. Venturine helps with that. Of course, quartz does everything. Quartz does what you ask it to do. But any stone that would empower you to be stronger would protect you from stupidity. But trust me, I mean, I know I have a whole lot of cards in my deck. I have a whole lot of crystals on my board. I don't know anything that cures stupid. This is today's reading, what we're going to have happen, and it's a bright day. Weirdly enough, I threw the spirit stone in the third eye, which is what I was in the throat, which is to express about things. I've done the third eye, so he can go off the board. It's a great day. My spirit should be pretty clear today. Some days my spirit's not as clear as others. My mind is powerful. My thoughts are focused. My values are moving into a positive, move forward direction. But my body says go for it, and that's pretty much true. I woke up this morning feeling really, really good, and really like all the elements in me are tied together today. So I'm feeling really, really good about that. Okay, I try to tell you what's coming up, and I told you more than a week ago about the Perseids meteor showers. Well, they're at their height right now, and it's a new moon, so there's not a big moon to compete with them. So if you want to go out and see those, you can go out and see that. It happens every year, this time of year. It happens after midnight in the Northern Hemisphere. You can Google meteor showers right now, and it will tell you kind of from where you live which direction to point to go look at them. We have our second full moon, and you need this. Another one we get. I know it seems like we just had one, right? And we just had this new moon with Lionsgate and all that crazy was going on. But now we have a full moon, and it's the second one in Aquarius, and it's exactly at the end of Aquarius. It's 28, 29 degrees of Aquarius. Oh, good, Helene. We figured we checked it, and it hadn't been delivered as of yesterday, but it said it should have been delivered today. Good. I'm glad Helene got her garden. The full moon will be at 7:02 in the morning on the Earth. So, that means anytime on that day, on the 22nd, if you want to write a full moon list, and that's your gratitude list, thank you for all these things that have been delivered to me. And the other thing I'm going to warn you is I'm going to kind of do a couple rundowns. There's a whole lot of stuff moving between now and the end of the year. Among other things, on the 20th next week, a week from Friday, Uranus goes retrograde, and that makes all the major planets are going retrograde. And what that means is that all of the energy they stirred up and all the things they started moving forward, they're going to plow back through it. So if it didn't get you on the first trip, it's going to get you on the retrograde. These are not like Mercury retrogrades where you go out and your car battery's dead. These are long, slow, considered movements, and it's a great chance to reconsider and think about what to do. So I'm trying to think of some things that can help you create positive momentum in your life. And this is a little trick I learned a long time ago. These are keys. These aren't special keys. I just saw them on Amazon one day, and I think it was like $7, and you got 10 keys. And they're just little skeleton key looking keys. They're just decorative keys. People use them in artwork and painting and things like that. But there's another thing you can do with a key. You can program it like a crystal. I don't know if fasting doesn't make you feel badly. Fast during a full moon. I don't know. I'll see if I can find any references to that. But this is how you can work with a key. You can program one of these little keys. You can program an old house key. You can program any weird little key you have sitting around your house that, you don't, some backdoor key that doesn't work anymore, whatever. But you take the key and you're going to program it. And what you're going to focus on is a part of your life you want to unlock. Some element in your life you want to unlock, bring the sunshine in, open the door, help make things clearer for you. So you'd grab a key, whatever key you wanted, you'd hold it in your hand, and you concentrate and focus about what it's going to feel like when that impediment is unlocked. You're going for the feelings here. You're not going to how am I going to do it? You may not even know why you want to do it, except you want that door open just to see what the hell's on the other side. But whatever it is, you work on it that way. You hold the key, and it's kind of like stones. At some point, you'll feel like you got the message. And then you can take this key. You could wear it around your neck on a little chain. You could put it in your purse. You could put it beside your bedside table. You could put it, if you have a home altar, you could put it on your altar. If you're working with the garden every day, you could put it in a little spot in the garden where you'll see it every day. And you keep it around you to remind you, this is being unlocked. Don't say, isn't unlocked yet, just say it is being unlocked. The universe is going to help you deal with it. And this is something you could do when the moon's full on the 22nd. It's something you could do any day of the week. You just find yourself a little key. I like these because they're kind of funky and cute. And then I remember what they're for. I try to not keep spare house keys around because I get them all mixed up and then I can't get in and out my doors. And then when you're working with that key, look for synchronicities that are telling you it's starting to happen. It's coming. It is here. I always try to stay with the it's here because that's a much more positive way to deal with the universe. But, as Vivian says, you do you. So you do whatever feels best for you. But, so that's kind of the little key ritual. And it's real easy. It's real fun. And it's a good way to try things if you don't have a lot of crystals sitting around. I think everybody somewhere in their house has a spare key. They may not look special like these keys, but they have spare keys. And I'll be talking some more about programming keys tomorrow when Sheila's here. When Sheila Celtic Tarot is here, we're going to start an hour earlier. Remember that. I don't know, Ronnie. Sounds good to me. Sprinkle some soil from Sedona on the ground and see what happens. I've never been to Sedona. I have enough energy flowing around me, but that would sound like a good deal. There is such a thing as taking blessed soil and moving it to something else. The other thing I want to talk to you guys is I'm always looking for ways to improve the garden. So my son brought me something, and he brought me a water feature to put in the garden. Can you see my little shark? He's in my garden. He's my water feature. That gives you any idea of what I live with. That's tech support idea of a joke. And it takes forever for that thing to turn off. It's a cat toy. Okay, enough humor. Enough lightness, enough brightness. Can you ever have too much humor? Can you ever have too much light? No. Yes, you can use it for that. You can still use it for the door if you want to. But just as long as you know what the key is and you use it somewhere, if you've got it on your keychain, you'll see it, I guess, every day. I don't see my keys every day because I don't go out every day. But yes. Whatever you want unlocked in your life. So if it's financial prosperity, if it's a new relationship, if it's a new job, if it's clarity on your spiritual journey, whatever. So it's kind of a fun, different thing. I mean, quite honestly, carrying rocks around in your pockets, people might kind of stare at you. But if you've like a lovely little attractive decorative key, who's going to know that you're moving your energy? So does anyone have a question for the day? Thank you, thank you. Thank you too. Okay. What I'm going to talk about now is Sheila's going to be here tomorrow. You can go to my community page. I'm going to open it up right after the show. If you'd write questions you'd like from Sheila from Celtic Tarot, we're going to work on different things. And she's going to talk. She's got a garden, and we're going to talk a little bit about how she's found it is to work with and how she uses it. On Sunday, I'm going to have Robert from the Akashic Records, and I will spell Akashic in the notes for the show, but it's in case you want to look it up, it's Akashic. That's Akashic. And Akashic Records, if you don't know what they are, and don't feel badly if you don't, I used to see people in the 70s and 80s reading Akashic Records at psychic fairs. I never paid much mind to them. Thank you. I never paid much mind to them, and it wasn't really until I heard Robert talking that I decided to go look at the Akashic Records. And after he read my Akashic Records, and he and I'll go into some of the stuff he saw around me, I knew why I didn't need to see them, because I've been screwing around in them for so long. I didn't need to see him, but I've had friends who've gone to him and have learned about the Akashic Records, and it really... No, you can go fix... Okay, somebody wants to know if they can fix their boat. Then we'll get back to Robert. You can fix your boat now. Mercury Retrograde is sort of the one that screws mechanical things up on our level. Mercury Retrograde is the one that affects the inner planet energy. The outer planets are generational planets. I mean, some of these guys take 165 years to go around the whole solar system, back, come back to the same place. So I wouldn't worry about that. Okay, I'll ask. I don't know anything about deer getting COVID. And the deer, okay, if the deers are getting COVID, what's that gonna happen? They're gonna have to take a longer, hard look at this. It may not be as obvious as they seem, but it seems like people are. It's the value system that's happening around it, and it's grounding. It's making us rethink our values. It's shaking up people's sense of security because they're seeing it pass back into wildlife. Manifestation of this is going to become supercharged. People are going to become very, very, very upset about it. It's the fact that we're even having to really look at it is going to upset a lot of people and make them really rethink how they feel about COVID, period. And spirits in water, which means that we're going to get more information on this. It may not be as bad as we think it is. Yeah, the information isn't completely known right now, and the growth of knowledge about it is just beginning, because the mind is in Earth, but it raises our age-old fears about this. So what I'd say is there's still a lot to be learned about it. Don't panic, but the fact that it's something people even have to consider is going to shake some people up a lot, because they're like, is it just going to be hiding out somewhere forever, and that kind of stuff. I don't think so. My instincts tell me that I have told someone that I will work their New Year's. Oh, hi, Skywalking with Moon. I have told someone that if they're open and they're having their New Year's party, I will work it. When this first all started, even weeks before the rest of y'all shut down, I'd already come home and shut down. And then that same person said, well, we want to do some things in August when we think things should be waking up, which if everybody had gotten vaccinated would have been the truth. But now, because we didn't do it that way, I told him in the 1st of August, don't tell anyone I'll book an event. And then he said, what if we do New Year's? And my guides tell me that right now we're on a trajectory to where I can go work a New Year's party. So that's my personal, totally egotistical time frame. Right. You can use all kinds of trinkets, anything that means that's a value of you. I picked the key because it's easy. Everybody has keys. But there's all kinds of little tricks of things we can use to help focus our energy and just remind ourselves. And what you're really doing when you do this is you're rewiring your old brain. You're looking for the new positive things. And this reminds you of the positive thought. Okay, how long did it take for me to... Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Okay, I got to stop that one. How long did it take you to know what your guides are trying to tell you. How did that start? I just found out last year that I'm a highly sensitive person. Okay. I'm weird in that I don't have to hear them now that clearly. Now, pulling out because of COVID, I was listening to a guy named John Campbell on YouTube, and I was hearing things about COVID, and I was following it because I knew it was a lung disease, and since I have compromised lungs, I was very curious as to how it would affect me. I've told this story, I think, a couple times on my channel, but I'll tell it again in case you missed it. I was driving home from Times 10, the wine bar where I would read cards on Tuesdays, and this one I was really doing serious keto, so I did not have anything to drink. That night I was stone cold sober, and I'm driving down the road, and I was driving down a road, if you know Dallas, it's called Central Expressway. It's Highway 75. It goes from here to Oklahoma, and people go 80 miles an hour on it. You just go 80 miles an hour or you die. And so I was in my little orange HHR going 80 miles an hour, and all of a sudden my whole car was encased. It looked like fog, but it actually looked more like grit, like sand stuff. And we don't get fog here. We certainly don't get grit like that. So I said to them, I said, okay, what's going on? They said, it's okay, we'll get you home. I said, I can't see out the windshield. And they said, no, because you're going home. And I said, yeah, I want to get there, so what's the deal? And they said, no, you're going home and you're not leaving. And I said, well, what's the stuff around the car? And they said, if you get out in the world now and breathe this in, you'll die. And they said, so go home, close the door, and that's it. That was in the second week of February. So I had to call Times 10 and say, I won't be there next Tuesday. I had to call Gretchen at Dolly's, at Dolly Python's, and say, I'm not coming in for a couple weeks. And she said, why? And I said, because this disease that's coming is real. And she told me that really upset the staff, because they figured if I had that inside boogie that it was probably true. So that was the most dramatic time they ever came and told me anything. And the next morning when I got up, I told my kids what I'd seen, and they said, then you're not going back out, whatever we need to do to keep you here. And so we've taken that tack. And I feel right now that it's that dangerous for me again. I'm not even trying to go to the rock shop or anything right now. Okay. Knowing isn't like, I have a good friend who's an attorney, and I used to say, well, you know this is going to happen. And she said, no, that's the way you know this is going to happen. I have to have evidence to take into a courtroom. When you're a psychic, you know things as good as if you had the evidence to go into a courtroom, but you don't. And you just finally have to trust your gut and communicate out what I said when we were talking about the throat. You have to open that throat up. You have to let go of all of the mother figures that ruled you, the father figures that ruled you, that nasty little inner child that you never really get along with. You have to cast them all aside, take what you know, put it out in the sunlight, and figure out how to get it to where it needs to go. That's kind of the struggle you have to go through. I wish I had a way to explain to people how I know the things I know. And believe me, it's crazy when no one, now y'all sort of take that as my word, because I've said things, you've seen things, we've understood things, and they tend to work. But when I was growing up, I knew things, and it was very hard. But you have to listen to your guides and acknowledge them. Say, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with me. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, it's the end of 2021 and 22. I think it's going to get better. And I hope for all our sakes that's true. I hope they straighten out this mess about schools. I have 2 grandchildren who cannot get vaccinated yet. And one of their parents went out on a job thing before everything really fell apart, is now isolating in a hotel room till they're sure that they're COVID free. And that's just got to be horrifying. I mean, and I live in Texas, and I will make no excuses for idiocy. When someone, listen, kid, if I knew a rock that would cure stupid, I would go find it and throw it at Greg Abbott. But I don't think there is one. I mean, everybody has their own journey, and they have to go about it their own way. So, about knowing, Intuitive Kim and Debbie, Free Spirit, they had a course on intuition, and it was not expensive. And I thought, well, I'll just take it and see, because until I took that course this year, I've just never totally run freelance. I've never just sat and said, okay, this is the impressions I have. And to some extent, I use the stones, I use the cards, I use the other tools as a mechanism to keep me separated. It filters the energy into me, so I don't feel like I'm open. So I went and took their class, and the second week we had the class, they have a segment called Popcorn. And in Popcorn, anybody can say anything. And one of the women who was in the class, she put her hand up, and she said, when I tuned in the first day and saw Nancy Jean sitting there, I thought, boy, am I in the wrong class. And I had already talked to Kim before I took the class, because I was afraid people might sense that or feel that way. And so Intuitive View Kim, she said, Nancy, you want to answer that? And I explained to them that I have to learn all the time, and that I was already learning in the exercises we were doing, that a lot of the impressions and feelings and things I get through the cards, through the stones, through the garden, through the whatever, I have anyway. They're coming in anyhow. And I think if you can take, their course was very good. I know there's other readers that are offering other courses. I thought it was lots of fun. I really enjoyed all the people I met there. And it was fun for me because it wasn't someone coming to me for an answer, which was really interesting, because usually people are coming for a reading, or they want a grid, or they want a garden question, because they have a specific goal in mind, and it kind of freed me from having to be in that world. I do know from talking to readers who are using the garden that the garden is a very 4 and 5D kind of energy, in that Tarot and a lot of the other things that I trained in as a younger person, they're very dualistic. There is an absolute yes and no. There's a black and a white, and all these kinds of balanced things in there. The garden doesn't do that. The garden forces you to have to take different disparate sides of yourself and consider how they balance against each other using keywords. And the universe guides you to the keyword, and then you work with it. So it's kind of, Tammy, all I can tell you is there's lots of different ways you can work with your to work with getting to know you. I think it's more you have to get to trust. I think the word you're looking for is trust, more than no. I mean, as in, going to have concrete things. Now, things you will manifest in, and all of a sudden they will be there, and then you will know this is here. It's not just a thought. It's not just a vibration. It's become the particle that we need. Medium Kim runs a couple of good courses. It was with Intuitive View Kim and Freebird Spirit, and they're not doing it right now because Intuitive View is in England with her daughter. But it's like a 4 or 5 week course, I think. I think I had to miss one. But it's very nice. And when I teach my garden course, I've taught Tarot. I taught Tarot for years, face to face. I'd have 6 to 8 people in a class. It was kind of like a party for 6 weeks running. And when you walked out of there, you could understand and read cards if you wanted to. And I'm taking a lot of what I learned from teaching Tarot, and I'm putting it into my teaching the garden. All of them are tools to wake you up to understanding the shadowy side of your mind, the part you may not have complete control over. Trust me, I have no control. Addie and Frank, they do what they want. When I had a reading by Medium Kim, she could see Addie, and she was describing her, and Addie's very tall. woman. When I saw her in the life I saw her living, she was African American. She's very stately, and she just kind of puts up with me. She directs me, and I do what I'm supposed to do. So I'm not tough. But Frank is another thing altogether. Frank, all my life I felt like I had an energy with me that protected me. When I look back on my life, when the things were going on, I kept wondering, how did I live through that? I mean, I've been in some accidents, I've been around some stuff. I had a chance to walk into places that could have ruined my life, and something pulled me back. Things happened to stop it. But when Medium Kim looked at my guides, she said, "Oh my God, who is this?" And he'd actually gone to where her energy was. And he was basically, I said, "It's okay, Frank." And I've invited her to do this because Frank won't let anyone get into my energy. He's a huge, big guardian angel named Frank. Okay. So I took the intuitive class with Intuitive You and Freebird Spirit. Medium Kim has a class. There are other people who have classes. Some people have classes if you join their membership programs. These two, you can just go and take them. You don't have to commit to anything else but going. I mean, there's a small fee attached. I believe it'll be 2024, 24 before it's better. Well, yeah, that's when Neptune gets out of Pisces. That's things. How long? COVID's here forever, dear. So is the plague that came through in the 1300s. Once a germ's in your environment, it's here. How long are we going to play? How long are stupid people going to play with it? They're going to extend it out, so it's going to go longer for us. Hi, Ron's Unconditional Love Tarot. You got a long title there, guy. Well, meditate means to become familiar with, and meditate just mainly means slowing your body down. And you can't, if you read, some people, when I remember first people talked about meditation, they said, you have to stop your mind. Well, my mind does not stop. It just goes 24/7. It just does. So what I do is I try to find voices or things I can tune into to kind of hush my ego. Now, my ego, I kind of learned how to stop. Meditate means to become familiar with, and that means becoming familiar with the vibrations that are around you. And try the key and see if it will help. And because I've done this one other time, and I did manage to unlock a door that I was interested in unlocking. So that's why I bought some keys when I saw them. Anybody else have a question they want from the garden, or am I going to go on to questions I need questions about? I have, okay, Allie Martin from Heart and Soul Connected is going to be with me on Monday, and we're going to be talking about I Ching, and I think I talked about this a little bit. If you don't know anything about I Ching, Google it, see if it fascinates you. It's a divination where you throw coins and you read the patterns, and I've seen people do it. I've had people read mine that have been incredibly interesting and incredibly accurate. And I would encourage you, if you have a question about I Ching or want to know about any of the kind of divination tools. I mean, there's pendulums, there's scrying, which is looking in the mirror. That's that scary Bloody Mary thing kids do to themselves, looking in mirrors. They don't know what they're playing with, but they're playing with something. That can mean staring into a crystal ball. It can be using cards. It can be using oracle cards. It can just be getting into a trance and letting others channel through you. It can be the stones. It can be using a crystal grid like the one that's pictured on my screen to focus your energy. Yeah, Allie is great. She's great from. Oh, okay. Telling seasons. If you're sitting, this is towards me. Where I'm pointing is towards me. that's summer. As far away from you as possible is winter. To your right will be spring, to your left will be fall. And when you have the garden in front of you, these lines do the demarcation for it. So that's how I tell seasons in the garden. And I have been told the way I get told these things. So this is like trusting that eventually I'll be able to figure out time, like maybe years, maybe numbers, maybe months, maybe days. Because one of the frustrations of being a tarot reader is we're really bad about time. It's sad. Sometimes we're spot on, but not often, because there's not a lot of cards that are clearly time related. So I was told that this would have time elements. And so working on the first ones with the seasons. And the more readings I do for people saying, when will this happen? Like, when will the job interviews come through? When will that happen? We can roll and see if what kind of time frame we got on COVID. It's never going to go away, guys, but in COVID being more controlled and it being safer for us to go out. I got 3 in fall. Spirit's moving towards it. And then really, but you know what? We're going to get it in the fall. It's going to have, the crossover of values is going to be from fall into winter. And it won't be until late winter that people start to feel secure. I think one of the worst things is we came out this summer thinking, oh, this is going to be great. And we didn't quite make the numbers we needed to make to control it. And then we got the variant. And until we have all those questions answered, it's all up for grabs. But what I clearly see is mentally people are going to be learning how to live with it, learning how to understand it so they can move forward. It terrifies our roots and our senses of security, but our spirit is learning. A lot of us have been through plague times in past lives, and there's some part of you, if you have a confidence, this will go away, and it's almost like you remembered it went away. It's because you remember those times. Kathy G, I don't know what to say. Now, those folks are folks, if you could, in your group, that if you could give them, they were ones we would need the stupid stone for. If they're carrying a cell phone, they're carrying a tool that is far more likely to reprogram them and give them a chip and have them be followed. That's all I can say to people, believe that. What they've done is they're afraid. They're afraid to face what the disease really is. And, fear has two forms. One is face everything and recover, which means look at the reality of the situation, deal with the reality that's there, and do it. Or F, and I won't say the rest of that F, but it's the one you're thinking, F everything and run. And they're trying to F and run. And you can see what's happening in my state and in Florida for people who want to F and run. There's no running. It's just going to come back and hit you in the butt harder. So apparently that deal about chips in the vaccine and stuff, that can all be traced back to 12 malcontents on Facebook. And my marketing guy in Austin, who also packages and kits and fits the games, the boards, the garden, he wants to do some marketing for me, and he's gotten some very good advice from people who do a lot of this, and he's going to be marketing it through Facebook. If he wasn't going to do that, I would get off Facebook tomorrow. I think Mark Zuckerberg is doing such a disservice, and he's supposed to be an American, and there was a time when that made a difference. Yeah, I love it. They not only did the cell phones track them, but they took pictures, sent it back to their families, and I think it's wonderful when families turn them in. You don't have to understand people. My thing about people is I just love them and let them stew in their own juice. I just tell them that the vibration they're bringing into the conversation is so low energy, I won't deal with it anymore. I try to stay as much as I can out of 3D energy and try to deal with my garden, deal with my readings, deal with my lovely people like you who come in every day and spend time with me. which are all are ascending and moving forward. Oh, good. Cactus Smithy. I know it's hard. Oh, Cactus Smithy, you weren't here. Tomorrow, Sheila's going to be over from Celtic Tarot, but we're starting an hour earlier, which probably won't help you at all because you dashed to get here at the time we've been. Oh, yeah, those people are living totally in fear. They're living totally in fear. And one of the reasons I won't read questions like that is because you get into that conspiracy theory sort of stuff with people. That's why I don't do politics, because politics right now is a dualistic game of fear. And quite honestly, that's why I don't. The other reason I don't do politics is because I used to work in it. And when I talk to readers who read a lot of politics and tell them about some of the things they've said that are, quite honestly, structurally, clearly wrong about how things happen, they go, now we know why you don't read politics. Don't argue with them. Just send love and light towards them and try to move on. Best we can do. I think we've all decided they're living in fear and hate, and we're not. We're moving onward and upward. We're going to be the people who recognize in the early winter, as soon as I could take a mask off and felt safe about it, I was off without a mask. And I had, like a month. And then I keep, if you want to watch someone who doesn't scare you to death about COVID and has good factual material, his name is John Campbell, Campbell, the traditional spelling, and he is on YouTube. I don't know if you watched any of the stuff about the pillow guy trying to have a conference telling about how he's going to bring to light all this stuff. His whole system went down. I think the angels are working with us. Good. And, there's some things, the one thing you can do about politics that's not negative is decide where you stand. So if you stand for good schools, if you stand for good sewers and waters, if you stand for things in your own community, learn your local politics and participate there. I have done 2 political shows, not the Political People magazine kind of shows. I've done them with a former business partner of mine named Sean Briscoe. And he and I went on and we did the first one of questions you need to ask yourself if you think you want to run as a candidate, which I think enlightened people should do. And the second one was you can't hack an overhead projector. Pillow guy thinks he got hacked. Anyway, and then Sean and I just did a show on how to become an activist in your area, how to find activist groups. For those of you who are coping with a lot of people who are caught up in lies, Indivisible, which is Indivisible, Indivisible, has a course, and it's an online thing you can do, and it's about how to recognize disinformation and then how to talk to people when they have disinformation. There's also a new book out, and it was written by a woman who was an expert in espionage and in working with the CIA and the DOD on digging up lies and following spies. She's just written a very interesting book, and I have a friend who's already bought it. She's going to tell me what it's like, but it's called Pastels and Pedophiles, and it's about the Russian disinformation campaign to draw middle-class women into protecting children and using that as a way to radicalize their political thoughts. So it's called Pastels and Pedophiles, and I believe the author's name is Bloom. I haven't read the book, but I listened to an in-depth interview with her, and it was fascinating. And one of the reasons my friend got the book is she talks about how to work with and start to deprogram family members. I'm fully vaccinated. I wear both my masks, and then if they want you to come get a booster shot, I'm there. I've had pneumonia so bad I was in the hospital for 11 days. At one point, they weren't sure I was going to make it. I did not get intubated, thank God. But my lungs are pretty crappy. So, well, for a long time in Dallas, before the shots really, Dallas County has a really good vaccination rate and stuff. But for a long time, of course, I never left my house, but I'd ask the kids, and they'd say there were masks everywhere. And of course, they at Costco they still prefer you to wear masks, and there are some places you can't get in without a mask. At the rock shop, they let it be your choice, but I always wear a mask, and I always spray every rock I touch with a. They saw what I put on it just to. It's one of those 99.9% germ killer things, and it smells beautiful. It smells like lilacs. My classes will be Libra Lady. My classes will be available on outside of daytime hours. I'm not sure when I'm going to set the class. A lot of that's going to depend on the people who sign up. But what I'm going because I'd like to be able to interface with everybody. For people who really, really cannot make the class, they're going to all be on tape. And if you have the password, you'll be able to pull that tape over. There'll be a private session on YouTube. Also, for anyone who really wants it, I will offer a half an hour Q&A directly just with me to talk about the garden. And so if you want to go ahead, interested in buying the garden, go to www.crystaldirections.com, and there'll be an order page there, and you can get it. I don't know what the brand is that smells like lilacs. I just got 2 bottles of it from Trader Joe's, and it's wonderful. It's in my purse somewhere in the other room, and I will not bore you with watching my screen go dead while I run to the other room. If I find it, Julie, I'll put it in my notes. I'll make a note to do that. Okay, spray. Because I spray everything, and my son got some super stuff that you dilute, but it like makes spray bottle stuff, and we've had that for the last year, and we spray boxes that come in the house. It has kind of almost no smells, so I don't mind it so much. A lot of things that have a heavy fragrance I can't be around. I'll be interested to see what more I can find out about it, but today the initial tests are that Moderna is more effective against the Delta variant. And the person I heard this from is someone who watches out for me and told me, I said, can I get Moderna since I'm a double Pfizer? And they said, yes, you could go get a booster of Moderna. So if you were a JJ one shot and you had an option, I think when they come to boosters, I'd look towards Moderna. If I can find the name of everything's online right eventually, so I'll try and find that for you, Julie. We're coming up on closing out the hour. I had one more thing I wanted to get to. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. I talked about this the other day, but this full moon on the 22nd, this is the moon the way it's characterized. This is a wonderful book, Astrology reading cards, and what it has is it's got a card for each planet, it's got a card for each one of the zodiac signs, and it also has a card for each of the houses. And I think when I studied astrology, the houses are if you've seen a wheel, an astrological wheel, it's divided into 12 parts, and each one of them is a number. And each of those houses has a meaning. And a lot of times, thank you. This is the soul animal for my company, Crystal Directions. He's my spirit animal. She's my spirit animal. Yeah, I know. I live with a wealth of high tech, so I feel for people who kind of feel cut off. Anyway, this full moon that we're going to have on the 22nd It's going to be at like 1 degree. It's going to be at like 29 degrees of Aquarius, which is this. And Aquarius is the energy of freedom-loving, rebellious, idealistic, and technological. And within 2 hours after that full moon hits, it's shifting into Pisces, which is the fishes, if you know the charts. The energy of it, did you talk about an energy shift? The energy here is wistful, endlessly loving, compassionate, forgiving. It confuses and softens your resolve. So we're going from this very 2 full moons in this very tech-driven, iconoclastic, rebellious place. We're going to go into a Pisces moon. I think that's kind of interesting to think about. And the last thing I wanted to do is pull a flower card for y'all. Oh, this is our card for the day. It's the Peruvian Lily. It stands for strength, and it's more effort will get you more of what you want. So be strong. If you see something out there that you want to get to, move towards it. It's an important time for that. Go out and see the meteors, if you can, in the sky, and do it because right now the moon's not full, so it's easier to see it. I will be here an hour early tomorrow. That means not at 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time, but at noon Central Daylight Time. If you have questions you want to ask Sheila, ask away. If you have questions about any of this other stuff, the keys, the stones, the garden, whatever we talked about. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for your questions, and love and light on each of us, and love and